Happy Tuesday, everyone. After the shortened, abridged week that we're going to have here. Hope everybody's enjoying the nice weather out there. It seems like it's going to be a beautiful day. I am Joe Dray, Policy Director for Wisconsin Voices. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices, and I am joined by my special co-host today,
LANISHA Martin, the Communications Manager with Wisconsin Voices.
Awesome.
How y'all doing today?
Yeah.
Hope y'all doing good. It's a nice day. I'm subbing in again for Bryan. He's took another vacation.
Yeah, we got to give him some grief when he gets back. I think he's been on a couple vacations. I haven't had any yet.
Yeah, he's been doing too much. Yeah, Bryan been doing too much. Get on him.
That's all right. He's always busy. He's doing the good work of Wisconsin Voices and being that community outreach, and we appreciate him and some well-deserved time off for him this week.
I think he's somewhere nice. I seen a picture of him post a picture by some palm trees. I'm like, Bryan,
yeah, I think he's on the left coast. He's out on the West Coast enjoying some palm trees and sunshine, and it looks like he may have brought it back with him.
I hope so.
Hopefully. So Memorial Day weekend, did everyone have a good Memorial Day weekend, LANISHA? Did you?
Yeah, I did. So I actually drove to St. Louis. Well, I was in St. Louis and Alton, Illinois. It's like a bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But my uncle had his 70th birthday party. So he had his thing was like army fatigue fisherman type thing. It was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. It was a nice party. He had like real goldfish in the centerpiece of the tables. So people got to take home like goldfish. It was pretty cool. The next day, like my uncles, they all went fishing for real.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't do that. They got up at like 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, I'm cool on that. But yeah, it was a nice time to see family I haven't seen from all over that we all linked up and celebrated his birthday. So it was definitely a good time.
Nice. I was on the honeydew list this weekend, helping out my significant other with her property up in Sheboygan County, and boy, oh boy, did we have a list that we needed to get through. We got through most of it. I think I'm going to be going back next weekend to finish up some other things, but a lot of yard work, a lot of cleanup, just kind of those things you do when the weather finally breaks and you get a chance to get out and start to do some of those things you thought about all winter long. So yeah, today'd be a great day to get out there and do something.
Yesterday was a good day for yard work too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I
seen a lot of people planting flowers and stuff yesterday. So
I saw a lot of that going on. So yeah, hopefully we've turned a corner here and it's here to stay for the foreseeable future. But yeah, so we're going to dig in. Typically we do legislative and policy updates on Monday just to go through and give you guys a sense of what's going on either at the State House here in Milwaukee or in Washington, D.C. But it is Tuesday since we took yesterday off, and I'm going to go down the list of what we got going on this week. So tomorrow at 8 a.m., and again, for folks that if you're just tuning in, you can catch these committee hearings live on wiseye.org. That's WISEYE.org. You can tune in, you can see how your representative voted, you can hear the testimonies and the arguments, and really follow along with all the legislative things that are going on. So at 8 a.m. tomorrow, the Wisconsin Elections Commission is going to meet in a special hearing, a special meeting to discuss and review some submissions to the legislature on the 2025 accessibility report under Wisconsin Statute 5.25. Also, tomorrow, they're going to have the Assembly Committee on Mental Health and Substance Abuse Prevention and Senate Committee on Mental Health and Substance Abuse Prevention, and as well as Children and Families. They're going to meet on one bill in particular that I'd like to kind of highlight a little bit today. It's Assembly Bill 112 and Senate Bill 107 relating to the consent of mental health treatment by minors who are 14 years of age or older. This was just introduced in this legislative session that aims to enhance minors' access to mental health care by allowing individuals age 14 and older to consent to their own treatment. Some of the things that are in there, it would definitely prevent anyone that is over the age of 14 to kind of dictate their own mental health and seek their own mental health treatment. They can do this also without parental consent. It clarifies that the consent applies to outpatient and inpatient mental health services and maintains existing provisions for parental involvement in cases where minor is unable to consent due to incapacity. So this bill is part of a broader legislative effort to improve access to mental health services for minors. The Joint Legislative Council, in a 2024 study committee on emergency detention and civil commitment of minors, identified the need for such reforms to address barriers in accessing timely mental health care for youth. If passed, this bill may undergo amendments to address concerns raised during the legislative process also. And then stakeholders, a lot of the stakeholders include mental health professionals, youth advocacy groups, and we encourage all of them to participate in the legislative process by providing feedback and testimony. The legislative efforts reflect a growing recognition of the importance of mental health care for minors and the need to adapt the legal framework to better serve youth populations. So we talked a little bit before the show, LANISHA, about, and we've talked to guests prior to this on the show, mental health expert, especially in youth, and explaining the need that we have in our community for mental health resources for young people, because they're going through so much right now. I mean, things that I think about, 25, 30 years ago that I had to go through and look nothing like what some of the youth have to today, with the social media pressure, with the bullying, with all the different things that are going on. They have so much weight to carry, and to be able to have access to adequate mental health is really, really important for our community.
Yeah, it is. I'm kind of glad you touched on this, because it is a lot of youth out there with mental health issues who parents just really not taking it serious. So if the child able to sign off without that adult, I think that's a good thing. If that child feel like, he or she has a mental health issue and the parent really not addressing it. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's great.
Right. And just, I think the more outlets that we can have for young people to reach out for those services, especially if they feel that they need it.
Yeah.
It's one thing to get across the bridge of, I need mental health services, or I need some resources, but it's another thing to actually be able to get them.
Get it. Yeah. Yeah, because it's actually hard right now for adults to get mental health services right now. I just seen situations where people was trying to get admitted to the hospital, and they just wouldn't take them.
Right.
So yeah, I think that's a good thing, that what they doing with the youth. Now we just got to figure out, how we gonna help the adults that need it.
Exactly. Yeah, so that, that I thought that was pretty interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. Again, it's going to go through committee now, and it'll go through both the House and the Senate committees. And then after that, it'll go to the full floor for a vote, and then onto the governor's desk to be signed. And hopefully this, we don't know what the amendments are going to be, but I hope that it involves more outlets for youth to have those mental health resources. So also in that same committee, there's an Assembly Bill 260 and 245 relating to a pilot school-centered mental health program. Also on that. So also making sure that we have those resources in the schools as well. So this is kind of a piggyback piece of the legislation to make sure that it's a well-rounded plan to address mental health amongst youth. So good stuff right there. At 10:30 tomorrow, the Senate Committee on Transportation and Local Government will meet. I had to pull this one up and I had to look at it because it kind of threw me for a minute, and I had to see what it was all about. So Senate Bill 37 relating to the local regulation of vegetable gardens. Did you know that vegetable gardens are regulated?
No. I thought you could grow whatever you wanted in your yard, like as far as vegetables and fruits. I didn't think you could. I mean,
Who
somebody can come tell you couldn't.
apparently there are some. Apparently, there are some local municipalities within the state of Wisconsin where there are regulations on vegetable gardens.
So what's the regulations?
That's a good question. I didn't look up those ones in those municipalities, but it looks like it's. There's been enough feedback from the constituents that they're looking to make a change on a statewide level. So, what this bill would do is prohibit local governments from enacting ordinances that ban or require permits for the cultivation of gardens. And it allows municipalities to regulate aspects such as water usage and the management of noxious weeds, and ensures residents can grow food in both the front and backyard without fear of legal repercussion. So now you can, if this bill passes, you can now grow
in front and back.
In front
so I didn't
and
know
back.
I didn't know it was a thing where you had to have a specific spot to grow your food in your yard.
Apparently, I should look up the Milwaukee ordinance and see what Milwaukee says. I'm going to guess that there's probably not too many ordinances regulating the growing of food on your property, but I could see some other communities, especially smaller communities. I come from one, and I can tell you that they get really particular about what you can do with your property. Outside of an HOA, they can come in and say, well, you can only have this color fence, or you can only paint your color a certain color on this street. You're seeing a lot more local government step in to try to regulate properties, and I think this is one of them that's addressing it and saying, well, we want to encourage folks to grow their own food.
And we should be. It's so much. We should be growing our own food. I know when I was younger, my stepmom had a garden in the backyard. Like while she was cooking, she was like, "Go give me a green pepper from the back," or something like that. And I don't see that too much now. And I think that's something that we should be doing, is growing our own vegetables.
Did your grandmother ever can?
You know what? She may have did, but it was like long ago. Before I don't remember that, but I think she did.
My grandmother would can. It's a lost art, really, on how to actually do it. I think you have the pressure cookers or whatever that do it now for you, and it's kind of easier. But it used to be you had to put it on the stove and put the cans in, put some salt in, and and seal them all up. And you got to be careful because you can get really sick.
And I think that's something else probably we should look into doing, because I mean, you never know what's gonna happen. We might need that canned food.
That's right.
Like, you just never know.
Saves money at the grocery store too.
It definitely do. And then like right now, like in St. Louis, they had the tornado, and I was out there, and like in the inner city of St. Louis, it's like people don't got food, electricity. So that's something that probably could have came in handy for them if they had that together. But the city is horrible. It's so messed up. It's so many houses that's just like it's destructive. Like you can't even use them. And it's like they didn't get any help. It was like no Red Cross, no FEMA, no. It's just the community out there helping each other. So
I think you see that a lot. We saw that a lot. We saw that a lot in Katrina. When Hurricane Katrina hit, there was a lack of federal and state response, but then you saw members of the community coming together and really starting to help each other out and lift each other up. So that's one good. We wish there would be more help for those communities, but at the same time, it's awesome to see the community come together and rally around their own causes.
Shout out to Val, May, Sue, and Conforce. They actually went to St. Louis this weekend and helped out, and they just helped out people, gave picked up debris, gave out groceries and things that they needed. So shout out to Vaughn and Conforce for that.
Yeah, Vaughn's always doing some remarkable stuff, not only obviously in our community but elsewhere as well. So should definitely shout out to him. Great stuff. But so we can all sleep at night now knowing that there's legislation out there that's going to allow us to have vegetable gardens in our front and backyard. There was another one, a Senate Bill 44, that's related to the regulation of local fowl. I didn't really look into that when I thought the vegetable garden was enough for the day. enough nonsense. So Also, Senate Bill 155 relating to requiring periodic inspections of parking structures. And we've seen this across the country. I think there was one, I want to say in California or somewhere, where a parking structure had collapsed.
I think one here did too. Was it Bayshore?
Was there?
I think it was. I think it
Jermaine.
did. You remember that? Then,
Was there ever...
like the parking structure in Baker,
Okay.
it collapsed. It was probably a few years ago.
It was about 2 years ago when it snowed.
Yeah, and then that's kind of like a newer parking structure because they redid Bayshore. I want to say like in maybe 2006.
Yeah, that was a new structure. But what came out was that they kind of cut corners when they was building it. And after that incident happened, that's how everything came out. But yeah, the snow caused it to collapse.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So now I'm guessing this is in response to that incident.
And 2 years late.
Well, it's moving at the speed of government.
Yeah.
That's what I always say. Government does not move fast. There's just it can when it wants to, but most times it doesn't. But yeah, this is going to require periodic inspections of parking structures, which I think is a great idea. Especially with not only with the one here in Milwaukee. I know there's been some others across the country. Just aging infrastructure that we've either failed to put money into or that wasn't constructed the proper way. So these are the things that we need to pay attention to when legislation is going through the state house to make sure that these legislations are out there to watch out for us. And that's what worries me when I see, well, we're cutting regulations, we're cutting bureaucracy. Everybody wants that. Everybody wants to get to the quickest route to resolve the problem. But sometimes it just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't work like that. So yeah, and then also this week, the Senate Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety is going to meet. One of the bills they're going to talk about is Senate Bill 235 relating to criminal trespass at a campground and providing a penalty. There's also Senate Bill 236 relating to tampering with telecommunication or electrical wires, providing a penalty. Have you ever known anyone to go and hook their own power back up?
For sure. I know. We definitely did that before. Lights cut off. People come and fix it up. I mean, yeah. I mean, people got to do what they got to do.
People definitely do what they got to do. I've seen it many times when I was a city council member. It was always the water. They would, because it was so easy. All you needed was the right tool. You could go out there and pull the little thing out by the road and just turn the valve and it's back on. But, so now they're going to be providing. They're going to be talking about some of the penalties related to.
Putting back on your electricity,
either electricity or telecommunications. So it could be, your Spectrum line. It could be your phone line, or if anyone still has landlines out there, any of those things. So they're going to be looking at probably increasing the penalties for that. There's also Senate Bill 279 relating to grants to law enforcement agencies for data sharing platforms. So a way for law enforcement to share more data amongst themselves. There's also an Assembly Committee on State Affairs. And then Wednesday, there's an Assembly Committee on Workforce Development, Labor, and Integrated Employment. One of the bills they'll be talking about is Assembly Bill 232 relating to transferring functions for workers' compensation from the Division of Hearings and Appeals in the Department of Administration to the Department of Workforce Development. So just kind of reorganizing and reshuffling the responsibilities and duties of the state government. There's also Assembly Bill 235, and if anybody is out there working in nonprofits with it, deal with literacy and reading, there is going to be a hearing on Senate Bill 235 that's related to grants for that program, for literacy grants, for helping folks be able to read better.
Yeah.
So very important stuff. So want to keep an eye on that.
Yeah, that's some information I might can pass along to some people. I know a couple people who tutor youth and teach them how to read, so that might be some information for them.
Absolutely. And again, these things are in committee. So this is a great time. And if they're public hearings, they're open to the public.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to Madison, you can show up at where that public hearing is, and you can walk right in the room, sit down in the back and listen. You can even testify at some of those hearings when they have public hearings. And as long as you sign in at the back, there's going to be a place for you to sign in that you can also testify in front of the committee, and tell them as to why we need more grants for literacy and for teaching children, because there's probably people up there that are going to say, well, doesn't everybody know how to read?
No, everybody don't.
Everybody does.
And honestly, like after the pandemic, my son was struggling like to read, and I had got him a tutor, and I paid the tutor what $35 a session. Everybody can't afford that. Right. Like I know people with multiple kids who need to learn how to read, and they can't afford to pay them. So them grants definitely will definitely work. And he's an awesome tutor too. Shout out to Mr. Dave.
Oh yeah, I had a great math tutor. I was always the English guy, so I'm really good with words and good with putting things together like that. But math was always a little bit shortcoming. I wasn't as good in math, and I had a really fantastic math tutor. As a matter of fact, I think he's still around now. He's probably got to be in his 90s. This guy was amazing with his mathematics, and he had a lot of tips and tricks. So I had a good tutor too, just not reading. I want to get to a couple more things real quick before we head to break. Senate Committee on Health is going to meet. They're going to be talking about Senate Bill 264, which is relating to the coverage of breast cancer screenings by the medical assistance program and health insurance policies and plans. So making sure that those things that insurance companies are required to pay for things like mammograms and things like that. So some really good stuff. Definitely want to tune in again, wiseye.org, WISEYE.org. You can find all these committee hearings on there. You can watch live. You can also go back and watch them after they've already happened. So if you're at work while these are going on and there's something that really interests you, you can go back on there and you can watch a taped session. Yeah. So, all right, we are going to take our first break of the day. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We will be right back.
AURN News.
I'm Ebony McMorris. For now, thousands of federal workers can breathe a little easier. A federal judge has extended a freeze on Donald Trump's sweeping mass layoffs and agency reorganizations, calling out what she sees as constitutional overreach. Judge Susan Ilstron ruled that Trump likely must go through Congress before gutting 22 federal agencies. That means workers at agencies like the Social Security Administration and the Department of Labor are protected, at least temporarily. This all stems from the Executive Order 14210, Trump's aggressive plan to eliminate waste and bloat, which has already seen 24,000 federal probationary employees fired. But in two separate court cases, nearly 16,000 of those firings were deemed illegal. The ruling is a win for the American Federation of Government Employees, joined by nonprofits and local governments who say Trump's move is a direct attack on the civil service that keeps the country running. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
I'm Adriana Mendez, and in your 4 to Know this morning, more than a year after a Milwaukee woman was killed and dismembered, the trial for the man accused of the gruesome crime will officially begin today with jury selection. Maxwell Anderson is charged with killing 19-year-old Shade Robinson after a first date. Anderson faces charges that include first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and arson. 2 people are dead and 2 others is seriously injured after a wrong-way crash in Ozaukee County. It happened early Monday morning on I-43 near County Highway H in Port Washington. A 51-year-old woman and a 56-year-old man from Oostburg were both killed. A 22-year-old passenger who was in their car was taken to the hospital. The wrong-way driver is in critical condition. An Oak Creek couple was killed in a crash in Marionette County over the weekend. Sharon and Thomas Roby were headed to their family's home when a car ran through a stop sign, causing a crash and killing 3 people. The 100th anniversary of the Scripps National Spelling Bee kicks off today with the preliminary rounds. 240 plus spellers will take the stage. You can watch that spelling bee during the live 2-night event with the semifinals on May 28th and the bee finals on May 29th. So it all starts at 7 p.m. on Scripps News, streaming over the air on our sister station, Ion 55.1. For these stories and more, head to tmj4.com.
Here's your updated forecast. Sunny skies this afternoon, high in the upper 50s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, mostly cloudy skies develop below near 48. By Tuesday, mostly cloudy, high around 58 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for some showers, cloudy, high 57. Thursday, we'll have a chance for some rain, cloudy skies, high of 64 degrees. And Friday, slight chance for rain, late, a high of 72. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
Remembering what we stand for. At Wisconsin Voices, we remember what we stand for. Check out our movement dedicated to empowering citizens and shaping the future. Engage with us on our website, social media, and podcast to make a difference. Visit wisconsinvoices.org. Explore our events calendar, like and subscribe to us on social media. Listen to recent podcasts and radio, and subscribe to our email and newsletter. Amplify your voice and be a voice today.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
Hi, I'm Joe Dray with Wisconsin Voices. Voting is essential, but real democracy happens every day. Wisconsin Voices helps people take action between elections by organizing, educating, and advocating. If you want to do more than just cast a vote and you want to create real change, this is the place to start. Join the movement for year-round civic power at wisconsinvoices.org.
860 AM, 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice.
Welcome back. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices. Happy Tuesday again, everyone. Welcome back after the Memorial Day holiday. We're just getting back on track and back in gear for the week.
Yeah.
Trying at least.
At least trying. Yesterday felt like a Sunday so much. I
did.
swear I thought it was Sunday all day.
I know. And
Almost
today
forgot
felt
about
like
it.
Monday.
Yeah.
I thought we had our meeting this morning.
Yeah,
I was
I did
ready
too.
to go, and nope. It is Tuesday. It is Tuesday.
Yeah.
But you guys were having a great conversation about the escapees down in Louisiana. I thought it was really good. Anybody has any thoughts on that? We'll go ahead and shoot out the number 414-444-5250 if you have any comments about that. I'd love to hear about it.
It is crazy how they was just able to escape, like how you said, with some razor blades or like clipper blades. Like how was it that easy for them to get out? It should never been that easy for them.
And
to
that
get out.
many of them. I mean, it was a lot of people. Usually you hear of an escape, it's usually one or two people, but now this was
handful.
it's like what, 7 or 9 or something like that. It was a good handful.
Yeah. And I was just like, wow, that's crazy.
It is.
That's how could you get out of a prison like that? And I ain't never been to prison or jail, but just sitting in there coming up with a plan to get out of there, like these brothers got to be genius, like to get out of there, like for real.
Well, you don't have a lot to think about during the day, so I'm going to guess that your mind goes to how do I get out of here? And then and you sit and you think about that for 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
You're bound to come up with something good.
Well, they succeeded.
They did. 2 of them still on the run, I do believe. Still got 2 of them on the run. They caught, I don't know, 6 or.
Yeah, I know for sure.
of
Derrick
them.
Groves, he was the most interesting one out of all of them. That his story just caught my eye.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he seemed like an interesting dude. Like I was kind of like researching about him and hearing his story and what happened to his grandma and just kind of see what kind of led him into the life of crime, which is wild. We got a caller?
We do.
Oh, let him chime in.
All right, caller, you're on the air with Be a Voice.
Yes. Good morning,
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
United States Navy.
Yes, sir.
But Joe, I just want to say, sir, thank you for being there. What happened with Bryan?
Brian's on vacation. We gave him a day off today.
Oh, you was nice, huh?
Yeah.
And to your guests in the studio, please excuse me. All of you in the studio, I beg your pardon for not remembering who your names are. Anything like
That's
that.
LANISHA.
Okay, but thank y'all so much for being there. Hey, Joe, if I may have your permission, sir, real quick.
Mm-hmm.
One of your guests said they came out of St. Louis.
Yeah, LANISHA, she's our communications manager at Wisconsin Voices. So she was just out there.
Oh, is she there in the studio?
She is.
Yeah.
Miss Lewis? I thought it was a male voice. I'm sorry.
You might have heard Jermaine.
oh, yeah, Mr. Ryan Alt.
Yes, sir. Jay Tizzle. What's going on?
Jermaine be in the mix.
Yeah.
He be in the mix on For Real Tip. Thank you, Jermaine.
Indeed.
Okay. But anyway, Joe.
Yes, sir.
One of your guests was in St. Louis. The reason why I'm saying that because my daughter, she lives in St. Louis now for about over 10 years. And I was asking her, excuse me for getting off the subject.
No,
okay?
Go ahead.
Because I just want to ask your guest from St. Louis. We were talking about the tornadoes that went through St. Louis and stuff like that and hit a big time. How was it in your area and your family?
Okay, so the area where my family stays at, they stay in a county, so that's where the tornadoes usually hit. But they were fine. It was mostly the city that was tore up. My family do own property in the city. Some of their properties were messed up. The electrical stuff came out. Luckily, my uncle is a electrician who can fix it. But yeah, they where they stayed, they were fine. But some of their properties in the city were tore up. It kind of hit weird. So some blocks it'd be 4 or 5 houses messed up. The next block it wouldn't be like a house messed up, and then another block mostly every house is messed up. So it was kind of weird. Usually tornadoes don't hit in the inner city of St. Louis, so it's kind of like a shocker to people. And in those communities is mostly people of color where they really don't have any help. It's just like the communities out really helping each other. So it was a beautiful thing to just see people out helping each other. It's a lot of people who do not have a place to go. The properties are condemned, so they kicking them out of their houses, but they don't have nowhere to go. So it's a sad thing. But shout out to the folks who went to St. Louis to help out over the weekend.
And I appreciate that you sharing that with me. And again, the reason why I'm asking that because my daughter, she lives off Stanwood Drive in St. Louis. I don't know where that is because I haven't visited her for a while. But she told me the same thing like you said. Tornadoes, they jump. They hit some areas and then they'll miss one house and hit the other house or something like that. Yeah, they're known for doing that. But my daughter, when I asked her about that, she said everything was cool on her side of the streets. Like I said, the 5300 block of Stanwood Drive in St. Louis. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. But however, she just said people got together and they came strong and they was watching out for each other. And that's what we're supposed to do.
That's right.
So I'm just glad to know that your family's doing okay. I feel for the families that did lose in St. Louis and any place else tornadoes hit. Okay. So yeah, I know tornadoes, they act like that. They just jump. They just jump. But anyway, Joe.
Yes, sir.
I just want to say, especially when something like that happened, Joe, and Donald Trump is taking away funding and stuff like that, when people trying to get their life together that did have a tragedy, and Donald Trump is trying to take that away, and that's why you are there, and your agents, your company, Voices Wisconsin is there to watch out for everybody, Joe. But Joe, have you heard anything about funding being taken away and stuff like that for people trying to get help in St. Louis, like the young lady just said, the people that have difficulty and stuff, and did have some tragedies and stuff like that. And Donald Trump is trying to take away support and stuff like that. Joe, have you heard anything about that, sir? And I would hang up. And thank you for taking my call, Joe. Everybody have a good day.
You too.
Okay, you're welcome.
You too. Yeah, I don't think that there's like been any funding pulled away from any particular disaster area, but a lot of folks are having trouble actually getting the help and getting their stuff filed, just because of some of the cuts. There's been, obviously staff cuts. There's obviously been budget cuts and funding cuts to several different programs. I know I read an article just the other day about North Carolina still struggling with the devastation that they had down there. And I wouldn't say that funding's being pulled. I would say that funding is being a little more difficult to get to. It's a little more difficult to access. So hope that answers your question. There's several great articles about that. Just, I think over the weekend, I read a couple of them. So, but speaking of the federal government, the U.S. House of Representatives right now is on a state work period. So that means they are back in their districts right now. All your U.S. representatives are back in district. So this is a great time to reach out to them. They're going to be back in around the area that in their districts. So it's a great chance to tell them about the needs of the community, tell them about funding issues, anything that you feel is necessary. It'd be a great time to reach out to them. Aside from that, our current budget, because we are in the process of approving a new one, as far as the federal budget goes, we are working on kind of a patch through. In March, Congress passed a full year continuing appropriations and extension act, ensuring government funding through September 30th of 2025. So we really don't have a threat of a government shutdown anytime soon. This legislation maintains existing spending levels with some adjustments, including limited increases in defense spending and specific reductions in non-defense areas. So there again, we're hearing about, the FEMA funding, different things. I went through the FBI funding, some of the proposed changes, and you're talking about $500 million in cuts at the FBI, which is going to affect a lot of different people, a lot of people's jobs. I know that there had been a letter go out that they're offering early retirements to some folks. So just things to be aware of as far as our federal government goes. So speaking of the federal budget bill, which has been labeled the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, or the OBBBA. The sweeping budget and tax legislation recently passed the U.S. House of Representatives, the bill championed by President Trump, and was narrowly approved 215 to 214. One vote. It encompasses over 1,000 pages of provisions affecting taxation, spending, and social programs. And here's a quick little breakdown. Tax policy change. So if anybody remembers the Trump tax cuts of 2017, they're looking to make those permanent and extend them. State and local deduction caps, as well as small business deductions, a 20% deduction for small businesses under Section 199A, with proponents estimating to go could create up to 1 million new jobs and generate up to $150 billion in economic growth. That's what proponents say, not what everyone says. Just want to be clear. The tips on overtime pay. The tips and overtime pay. The bill all introduced tax exemptions for tips and overtime pay, benefiting workers in industries such as hospitality and retail. It's so odd to me, the American tipping culture. When I was in the Navy and was overseas, they don't tip overseas. They don't tip their servers at all. They'll kind of look at you weird. It's because the restaurant owners actually pay a livable wage with benefits to where they don't need tips. Those are kind of all included and all wrapped up in the price of what you buy. I think it creates a unique situation in the United States where, have you ever seen or heard the stories of the waitress that serves a table with 20 people, 9 of them being kids, and she gets a $5 tip or a $2 tip, and has all that to clean up, brought all the food, great service. And then, it's just, to me, I was always told, and I grew up believing this, that if you can't afford to tip, you can't afford to go out to eat. And if you can't afford to tip your server. So seeing that they get to keep, and honestly, I think I'm sure there's some really honest folks out there, waitresses and waiters that will claim the cash tips that they get. But they're already being, most people don't pay that way anymore. I try to leave a cash tip because I know it's not it's probably not going to get taxed. I don't think they should be paying any taxes when you're making $3 and something an hour to wait tables and relying on tips. So hopefully they can get some relief there. And then also the child tax credit. A bill temporarily boosts the child tax credit, providing additional relief to families. There's also the Trump savings accounts. They're introducing a $1,000 Trump savings account for children born between 2024 and 2028.
Dang, my son don't make it.
I missed the mark by about 24 years. My daughter will be 25 this year. Again, it'll be interesting to see what the Senate does to this bill. This got through the House. It passed by one vote. And now the Senate has to debate it. We'll see what happens in the Senate, if it can get through or not. But there's obviously some defense spending, and we've talked about, about a year ago on this show, we really got delved into defense spending and how much of the budget that takes up. Our military costs a lot of money. It's not cheap to put that many aircrafts in the air and that many ships in the ground or in the sea and that many troops on the ground. It's just the food cost to feed the millions of service members that we have 3 times a day is expensive. So this provides also it allocates an additional $150 billion to defense, including funding for a missile defense shield and naval expansion. So we've heard about the Golden Dome, which is going to be similar to the Iron Dome in Israel. It's a missile defense protection system. A lot of experts would say that it's going to cost a lot more than what they think it's going to cost. America's a very large country. If you don't believe it, try to walk from one end to the other. You won't make it. You won't make it. It's a very large country. So that's a lot of real estate to protect. There's also going to provide $46.5 billion for border security and mass deportation efforts, including a new border patrol and ICE hires. So, some of the other things that this bill addressed are some of the social programs are Medicaid and SNAP. They're going to impose stricter work requirements for food aid and Medicaid, potentially reducing coverage for millions. They're going to cut gender affirming care, cuts to student loans and education. And the Congressional Budget Office estimates that this bill will add approximately $3.8 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. But we got a caller. We're going to go to the caller real quick before we take our last break. Caller, you're on Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices.
Yes, Joe, just me again.
Yes, sir.
Back quickly, I just want to say, I forgot to say when I called earlier for Memorial Day. I just want to give some shout out to all our fellow veterans that didn't make it back home.
Yes, sir.
For Memorial Day. I understand how people can say Happy Memorial Day, But don't get that confused with Veterans Day, because we are still here as being veterans. But for our veterans that serve honorably and lost their life and stuff like that, I just want to give proper respect to our veterans that lost their life and make it back home on Memorial Day. And a lot of y'all out there in the listening audience, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You probably lost your kinfolk all kind of ways, regardless. But they fought honorably and they lost their life. So for them, I'm not going to say Happy Memorial Day, but I will say, not to sound like a commercial or anything, but I salute you. And thank you so much for your courage, and thank you so much for your tenacity. And on Memorial Day, we will remember you. So thank you, Joe, for allowing me to do that, okay?
Yep. Thank you again for pointing that out. Yes, Veterans Day is for those of us veterans that have served and we're still here. Memorial Day is for those that paid the ultimate sacrifice and never made it home. Let's make sure that we keep that in mind.
Yeah, I've always looked at that, because you see people say Happy Memorial Day, and it makes you think like, okay, is that being selfish? Because even though it's a day of we are celebrating the fallen soldiers, I think the families that have lost the soldiers are not so happy.
Right.
You know, it's just a thing of just reverence your loved ones and things like that. But you see people say Happy Memorial Day. It's like,
Yep. I get it. It's because we've kind of shifted on what we think of Memorial Day now. It's more of a, it's barbecue and holiday and
It's a
getting
barbecue,
together
getting
instead of remembering what it's all about. It's
Yeah.
about those who paid the
That's
ultimate sacrifice for our country. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices on WNOV 860 AM 106.5 FM.
AURN News.
I'm Ebony McMorris. For now, thousands of federal workers can breathe a little easier. A federal judge has extended a freeze on Donald Trump's sweeping mass layoffs and agency reorganizations, calling out what she sees as constitutional overreach. Judge Susan Ilstron ruled that Trump likely must go through Congress before gutting 22 federal agencies. That means workers at agencies like the Social Security Administration and the Department of Labor are protected, at least temporarily. This all stems from the Executive Order 14210, Trump's aggressive plan to eliminate waste and bloat, which has already seen 24,000 federal probationary employees fired. But in two separate court cases, nearly 16,000 of those firings were deemed illegal. The ruling is a win for the American Federation of Government Employees, joined by nonprofits and local governments, who say Trump's move is a direct attack on the civil service that keeps the country running. For AURN News, I'm Ebony McMorris.
I'm Adriana Mendez, and in your For to Know this morning, more than a year after a Milwaukee woman was killed and dismembered, the trial for the man accused of the gruesome crime will officially begin today with jury selection. Maxwell Anderson is charged with killing 19-year-old Shade Robinson after a first date. Anderson faces charges that include first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and arson. 2 people are dead and 2 others is seriously injured after a wrong-way crash in Ozaukee County. It happened early Monday morning on I-43 near County Highway H in Port Washington. A 51-year-old woman and a 56-year-old man from Oostburg were both killed. A 22-year-old passenger who was in their car was taken to the hospital. The wrong-way driver is in critical condition. An Oak Creek couple was killed in a crash in Marionette County over the weekend. Sharon and Thomas Roby were headed to their family's home when a car ran through a stop sign, causing a crash and killing 3 people. The 100th anniversary of the Scripps National Spelling Bee kicks off today with the preliminary rounds. 240 plus spellers will take the stage. You can watch that spelling bee during a live 2-night event with the semifinals on May 28th and the bee finals on May 29th. So it all starts at 7 p.m. on Scripps News, streaming over the air on our sister station, ION 55.1. For these stories and more, head to tmj4.com.
Here's your updated forecast. Sunny skies this afternoon, a high in the upper 50s. Winds out of the northeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, mostly cloudy skies develop below near 48. By Tuesday, mostly cloudy, high around 58 degrees. Wednesday, a chance for some showers, cloudy, high 57. Thursday, we'll have a chance for some rain, cloudy skies, high of 64 degrees. And Friday, slight chance for rain, late, a high of 72. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
Hey, this is Nisha with Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice Radio, where your voice matters. Catch us Mondays and Tuesdays at 11 a.m. on WNOV 860 AM. Be heard, be informed, be a voice.
Wisconsin Voices' 3 pillars are protecting democracy. Your vote is your voice. Wisconsin Voices works to protect democracy in Wisconsin by fighting voter suppression, promoting voting rights, and ensuring fair elections for all. Teaching advocacy. Teaching advocacy empowers and educates advocates in Wisconsin by offering training, resources, and support to enhance their skills, fostering a more informed and effective advocacy community for social and economic change. Building community. Wisconsin Voices builds strong communities for a healthy democracy by collaborating with diverse partners, creating networks for positive change, and fostering a sense of belonging and common purpose. Learn more about Wisconsin Voices by going to wisconsinvoices.org. Learn more about what our partners are doing by visiting the events calendar. Listen to recent episodes by going to our podcast and radio. Get involved today.
Be a voice.
Be a voice. Be a voice. Be a voice.
Be a voice.
Be a voice.
Be a voice.
Visit wisconsinvoices.org. Visit wisconsinvoices.org.
Visit wisconsinvoices.org.
And learn more on how to be a voice with Wisconsin Voices.
860 AM, 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice.
All right, we are back. Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices. I'm Joe Dray, your co-host today with LANISHA Martin. And LANISHA, you have some partner updates and some events going on that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I do. So, starting out, we have on Saturday, May 31st, will be Derby in the Garden from 12 to 3. So say that date. That will be at 1823 North Palmer Street. That seems like it's gonna be a cool.
That's the LGBTQ center.
Yep. So they're having a Derby in the Garden. That sounds pretty cool.
Hey, can't beat that.
Yeah. So if you're free, come on out. You can actually purchase tickets if you go to mkelgbt.org. You can get more information and also purchase tickets for the Derby in the Garden. Then we have Saturday, June 7th from 10 to 12:30. We have the 8th annual Promise Zone bike ride. That's going on from 10 to 12:30, but you can go early at 9 a.m. if you need some repairs on your bike. They're gonna be like fixing flat tires or whatever you need done on a bike.
Is that just for kids or that for everybody?
It don't say an age, so I want to say it's for everybody.
Because my bike needs some repairs too.
Yeah. So if you arrive early, it's gonna be at Garden Home Park. So
okay,
you want to take your bike there, 2600 West Atkinson Avenue, get that bike repaired.
Yeah. No kidding.
So that's gonna be cool. I might actually go to that.
Yeah.
I don't got a bike though.
and now the big one now.
I'm rent a Lime bike.
A Lime bike.
Yeah. And then for the big event. The Gala in the Garden will be July 31st, hosted by Wisconsin Voices. It's going to be an awesome times. We're going to be planting the seeds of democracy.
Yeah.
So that's going to be cool at Hubbard Park Lounge, 3565 North Morris Boulevard. The time, I think it's still to be determined. I don't. Oh, it's from 5 to 9.
Five to 9.
It's from 5 to 9. I'm sorry about that.
Yep.
Yeah, 5 to 9. Gala in the Garden. So get your like summer outfits ready. It's gonna be a good time. Gonna have some great food, music.
Yeah.
Maybe some entertainment.
I think so. Yeah.
So it's gonna be pretty good. Some some awards going out, so it's gonna be a great time. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah. So just a quick question, and I'm not trying to catch you off guard here or
Uh-huh.
anything, but I know you've been working on our website quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
Are they able to go onto our website and get
see
tickets
this,
right now?
Actually, they can. Actually, it's gonna be a email going
Okay.
out to our partners,
Okay.
which may have went out yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm not
Okay.
sure yet, but it's gonna be emails going out to folks where you can scan a QR code.
Okay.
And if you want to, it's a different QR code from partners and then from just regular individuals.
Mhm.
But yeah, you can go on there and get tickets if you scan a QR code. Our flyer probably should be floating around the internet. If you're on our contact list, you definitely got an email. But
keep an eye on our social media
keep
as
an
well.
eye on the social media. This will be going up on the website, but I've been working on the new website and not the old website.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. I know you've been
yeah.
putting a lot of work into that,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to see it when it
Yeah.
rolls out. We're gonna have to make an announcement on air so everybody can go to it and check out the new website that you've been
Yeah.
working really hard on. And
Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
I think it's gonna be really cool and great, and really reflect what the new changes that we've experienced, and the new direction we're kind of taking at Wisconsin Voices,
Yeah.
and really putting our stamp on what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think you've done a lot of great work here since you've been here, LANISHA.
Yeah, I did so much the first quarter. I'm like, dang, I got all that done.
I know.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of sat back at and then looked at the first quarter and it was like, man, we've really accomplished a lot. And it's a team effort. It isn't just our staff either. It's our partners. It's the community that we work for. It's the folks that we lift up and support, that are always there to lift up and support us as well.
Yeah.
So this is one way you can definitely support Wisconsin Voices is by going to our gala, which again is on June 31st. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
June 31st,
5 to 9 p.m.
5 to 9
at
p.m.
Hubbard Park Lodge.
There you go, Hubbard Park Lodge, and we can definitely a good time for all, and that's your way that you can help support us, help support our partners, help support the community.
Yeah, we also gonna have an auction at the gala too. So yeah, I don't know exactly what's gonna be auctioned off, but I know it's gonna be some good stuff.
Yeah, so you don't want to miss it. Great time. If anybody's ever been to any of our galas in the past, this is going to be a little something different, but it's going to be kind of a lot of familiar things that are going on as far as awards and a nice dinner and things
it's gonna
like
be
that.
cool.
It's going to be great. So, well, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to our one and only show this week. We will be back next week. We have State Representative Prado coming on Monday. She's going to be offering a lot of insight on the budget and then some different things and immigration as well. So thank you guys again. This is Joe Dray with Wisconsin Voices on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM with Miss LANISHA Martin. Sorry.
LANISHA Martin.
LANISHA Martin.
I'll be back next time Bryan decides to go on vacation.
Yeah. I could fill in. All right. Well, have a great week, folks, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Peace.